So BLC has policies in place to protect our student privacy. We have policies in place to protect volunteer privacy as well. Let's focus on student privacy at the moment. I want to talk about why our privacy policy and what every teacher does with respect to student privacy is so important for all of our students, but particularly for our most vulnerable students. And when we talk about student privacy, what information are we talking about? And how is it pretty easy to unintentionally reveal students' private information?
So I use a class WhatsApp group. When you use a class WhatsApp group, their phone number is shown. So I never add somebody to the class WhatsApp group. It is voluntary for them if they choose to. That's number one. Or if I'm sending out an email, I will BCC students so that I'm not sending out people's email addresses. But it's a challenge for me because one of the things that we practice is phone numbers, being able to say your phone number. And so I try to show that they can use a made-up phone number. But the whole idea is being able to say my phone number is and give some numbers. I never ask immigration status. I never ask how they got to the country. I never ask, do you have the ability to work? You just completely stay away from those questions. I might ask, when did you come here? To get an idea of, have they been here 20 years or 3 months?
Like, I think it was you, Amy, that showed me how to make a WhatsApp group and then send the link out and they can choose to join.
But for our vulnerable students, the consequences for them can be their lives. They can be deported against their will if they're here undocumented, domestic violence survivors. And we do have students at BLC that are in these situations. And the thing is, you may not know. I did not know one of my students was in serious danger until I was asking her those emails about, why are you absent? You've been absent 3 weeks. What's going on? Do I drop you from class? And then she was like, can we meet on outside of class so I can tell you what's happening?
Even things like if a student tells us that they're in the hospital or that they have surgery or their child's in the hospital or something like that, and they don't say, oh, don't tell anybody. They just tell, they believe that they're telling us. They're not announcing it in the class. And if then we go in class and say, oh, Gina can't be here today because she's in the hospital, that's a violation of their privacy. That's their personal information. You never know. I've heard of situations where the parents who have kids in school together learned something about their friend, the other child, in class because they were in a class together. And then one told her daughter, and then the daughters were, the things that we might think are inconsequential have ways of traveling. I had a student, actually, it's happened a couple times, who had a family tragedy, recent family tragedy, and we're in level 1. In a lot of levels, we talk about family, and that's a way that we start conversations, right? Because it's something that a lot of people can talk about. And we have a lot of refugee students who might have very difficult family situations from their countries. And it's a hard can be a hard thing because you have to learn about family. In one case, I talked to the student beforehand, before we started that unit. And I told her, we're going to be talking about family and we're asking questions. Do you have? And yes, I do. No, I don't. And if this is too hard for you, you can just skip this. I can meet you after class or send you the materials or whatever, but you don't have to come to class. And can share something about yourself as opposed to, right, tell us about your children.
What do you usually eat for breakfast? What do you say?
Food in general seems to be fairly safe.
It is, it's everybody's favorite topic. But even asking like, oh, are you going home to visit your family can be problematic because our undocumented students can't go back. The other thing I would warn about is if you have guest speakers in your class, make sure that they never, ever have access to your student's contact information.
Oh, yeah.
A student would ask me, oh, can I have such and such contact information because we're all getting together for coffee next week? I'm like, great. Let me ask them if it's okay for me to give it to you.
I will wait till maybe November until the class feels like it has gelled somewhat. I won't do it at the very beginning. And I'll ask students, tell me if you want to share your contact information with the rest of the class. And then those students who say yes, I make a list of them, and that list gets shared only with the other students who have said yes.